It's fascinating because outside of the action, there's such a dynamic and a battle between country and family. And you have these characters, obviously your character being the mother of a CIA spy analyst who, without giving too much away, there's different forces working against each other. Talk to me about those dynamics and how they fit into the show.
The show is called Allegiance, and because it questions allegiance on so many levels. Your allegiance to your country versus your family, your children versus your spouse, the truth versus lies, moral versus immoral, evil, and all that. So, those issues inform every character's journey on the show. You never know. There's not a good guy and a bad guy. People are crossing lines all over the place.
Yeah, everybody's morals and allegiances are tested weekly, and
it's a modern day story. Anyway.
Yeah, and what makes it so great is the issues that we're dealing with are relatable because it is, we do broach a subject of how far would you go to protect your family? How far would you go to protect your children? How far would you go to betray your family for your love, which is a storyline that my character deals with? How far would you go to betray your family for your country? And, and that is a great thing because these characters are very complicated and they're multifaceted and they're constantly shifting gears, depending on what's being thrown at them. The circumstances are so extreme, but not unrealistic because the stuff that we're dealing with today is very similar to the stuff that
I don't know if you heard that there was a Russian spy cell busted in New York just last week.
Yeah, 3 guys.
So,
it's fascinating to me because you and I are Russian. I grew up, I was born in 1978, so I grew up through the end of the Cold War. And the crazy thing is you think this thing is over, and yet your show, and it really shows us it's not over right now. It's crazy.
Over. I mean, things are tense. I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of family in Russia. And when I speak to them, it's very apparent how much, unfortunately, there is a divide between America and Russia right now. And, and I think our show, not that it takes a stance at, who is the bad guy, who is the good guy, but what our show does is extraordinarily well and very authentically delves into the world of espionage, of intelligence, information tracking, of, if anyone is interested of how does this world actually work, they get to tune into the fact
show. Is these are two superpowers that have always had a really difficult relationship with one another. And right now things aren't just too rosy.
And it's relevant because our world has changed with technology. So I think whereas the Cold War, like 20 years ago, I think some of the technology that was used then and is used now is very different. And we deal with that as well.